by Sabrina Walker Hernandez of Supporting World Hope, and myself, Brian Partee, from the nonprofit marketplace called Help! I Need Money Before the End of the Year. And like I said, this is an awesome webinar by Sabrina Walker Hernandez and myself, Brian Partee. So we get to the end of the year. Come on, slide. There you go. First and foremost, Giving Tuesday is tomorrow. Stop with Giving Tuesday. I'm not a big fan of Giving Tuesday, and I'll tell you why. Initially, the idea behind it was wonderful to get past the commercialism of Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all those different things. Unfortunately, though, it's become really watered down. Doesn't have a good ROI. It's a very crowded space. So you're going to be limited on what you can actually get out of it. I mean, you got to think about this. Oh, it's Giving Tuesday. Who are you going to get? People who are already giving to you, people who already know who you are. These are actual Giving Tuesday posts that I saw from last year. I wrote them down because it kills me that this was a regular thing. My son wants to play travel baseball. That's a Giving Tuesday, not a nonprofit. It's a pay per, hey, I want a car. You know what I mean? And please keep in mind, I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm not trying to be sarcastic or anything like that. But if you're talking about a nonprofit and what they do, it's very different. And I'll get to that in just a moment. Here's another one. We were married just before COVID, and my wife and I never got the honeymoon that we deserve. I want them happy. I hope they get their honeymoon. I've been married 26 years. I love my wife. I love doing as much stuff as I can with her, but it's not the general public's responsibility to pay for my honeymoon. And finally, this is the one that kills me the most. I just got my 501c3 and I want to start helping to serve the homeless people of, and they listed their city. I'm not going to call anybody out. And again, you got to remember that Sabrina and I say this a lot because we do a lot of different webinars and a lot of different explanations of things. But when you say, I just got my 501c3, that means you don't have a body of work to present to people. And there's that phrase, and I use this phrase a lot. It's called the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So people say, I just got my 501c3. And you got to remember, a 501c3 is nothing more than a tax designation. You're a business first. You're a small business first. You've got to stay in business because you know what? Who are you going to serve if you go out of business? You're going to serve a lot of nobody. So it's important for you to make sure that you come in with a plan. You can't just say, my plan is Giving Tuesday. My plan is writing to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's not a plan. You've got to get yourself set up. And here's my last point that I'm trying to make on all of this. You have a mission that changes the world. You're making a difference to people, to animals, to the environment. You're making a difference. And I think your mission deserves better than being lumped in with travel baseball. Again, not a knock on people. I hope that kid gets to play travel baseball. I hope that the couple gets the honeymoon of their life. And I hope hey, I just got my 501c3. I hope that works for you too. And I hope you get it going. But until you're established, you've got to have a business plan. So Giving Tuesday, just go, we're going to put out on Giving Tuesday. There's so many people out there doing so many things that are so not related to nonprofits that, in my opinion, Giving Tuesday is a big waste of your time. Next, so what do you need? You need an end of the year campaign. Let me give you some numbers. Last year, 557 billion with a B dollars were donated. That was 67% was from individuals, not charities, not the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. 67% was donated from individuals. 2/3, here's another interesting fact, 2/3 of those people do not do a lot of research. They want to make sure you're legit, and that's it. So I'll get into that in just a minute. In just December, 40% of that, 222, almost $223 billion were given in for all charitable giving. Oh, and I left task description on there. Forget it, task description. But that's how much was donated in just December. And then here's where it gets even better. Of that 40%, 80% or $178 billion was donated to nonprofits in the last 3 days of the calendar year. And that's been pretty consistent for the last 10, 15 years. That equals out to about $60 billion given per day on the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st. Let me go back to this top part real fast. We talked about 2/3 of individuals do not do a lot of research. What that tells me is if you have a good presentation, if you have a consistent presentation, if you're able to get yourself seen, give some good facts, give some good stories without giving them, 800 pages of stuff to read over, and then all of a sudden go, oh, they want the highlights. I do this much money. I have made sure this many kids don't go home to an empty house after school enrichment. I do this, and so this many dogs and cats have not been put to sleep because we did the no-kill shelter. This many people got food for their homeless problem in their community that we're helping solve. That's what you have to understand. So people don't do a lot of research. Give them the bullet points. Make sure they know that you're legit. We've been around for 30 years. We've been around 15 years, whatever. Let people know you're there, you're serving your community, and how you're serving your community and the difference that you're making. Those are the important facts. Because if people aren't doing research, they want to know, okay, I'm going to do a search on homelessness or food instability or whatever I'm doing it on. And I just want to give. Why do they want to give? Two reasons. End of the year tax breaks, which actually accounts for about 35 to 37% of the people giving. So it's not always that. It's more that it's Christmas time or whatever you celebrate. It's the holidays. Say it that way. It's the holidays. The idea is to be good to one another. Try to help your fellow man, fellow woman. That's what it's about. And so what you end up getting is you get people who want to make a difference in the world. And if you say, what would Jesus do? What would WWJD? You've heard that phrase. If you do a WWJD thing, you think Jesus would want you to give to a charity that's helping make the world a better place? Or would Jesus want you to go buy another sweater? You know what I mean? That's kind of the logic behind it, that people want to give because they want to help change the world. They want to make it a better place. They want to say that I was part of that solution. So again, getting yourself out there and getting visibility is very important. Now, how do you do an end of the year campaign? One thing I'm very big on is the how. You've got to have a plan in place. You've got to know exactly what you're going to do. And I'll give you a great example of why how is important. Because we can say anything. Oh, just do it in your campaign. Yay. There's more to it than that. A long time ago, 25 years ago at least, I was a city commissioner in the small town of Marshall, Texas. I was running against a guy who, when we did a debate, minor debate, low level debate, but we did a debate, and we were talking, and he's like, I'm going to bring more police, and I'm going to bring more firemen. We're going to do more roads. And I said, oh my gosh, it's my turn. I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to vote for you. You're awesome. Because we want all that stuff. I mean, who doesn't want more police and more fire and more roads and all that? I want that. But you know what? Marshall, Texas has a finite budget. So if you could please tell me what we're going to do to achieve that. Are we going to raise taxes on the citizens? I use it to my advantage. Are we going to close down the parks department because we certainly won't be able to afford 10 new officers and have a parks department and add more firemen and do more roads? You know what I mean? You got to have a how. You can say whatever why do you want to run for school board? Oh, I want to do it for the kids. That's lame. Oh, okay, good. Who doesn't want to do it for the kids? That's why you run for school board. You want to make the schools better. You know what I mean? You got to have the how, specifically how you're going to do it. One of the good things about this little webinar here that we're doing is that Sabrina Walker Hernandez and myself, Sabrina's not with us, by the way, she's not feeling well. So, but she's my partner in crime. She's my buddy. We do a lot together. We're giving you some of the hows that you can do. Now you can of course get with us and we'll get further into the hows, but let's talk about how we're going to do this. First thing that you've got to do if you're going to do an end of the year campaign, post intentionally, communicate intentionally. Do this with intention. Find out when are the best times to post in your area. And as you can see from my example on this slide, in Atlanta, if you're on Facebook, 9 to 10 a.m. is the best time to post. If you go in the afternoons on Facebook, and on weekends, 1 to 4 p.m. is the best time to post. But totally different if you go on Twitter. Twitter is, and by the way, I'm going to call it Twitter, not X. That's just stupid. Twitter is 8 to 10 a.m. on weekdays. So it's very different. So you want to make sure you're posting at good times. And as for a comparison, by the way, if you look in Los Angeles is high posting for Facebook from 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. or 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., not in the middle of the day in Los Angeles. You've got to look it up and know where your area is and where you're trying to reach and when's the best time to post. I don't work for them. I don't get a kickback from them, but I'd also recommend you look into a program like Loomly. Loomly is like, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks a month. And one of the things you can do with Loomly is now I don't agree with their analytics completely because I use a different source, but they'll tell you that if you're posting in Atlanta, Georgia, this is a good time to post. If you're posting in Cleveland, Ohio, this is a good time to post. But the other thing about it is it's very convenient. So you can do a single post for the whole entire, I'm going to do this post and I want to go to Twitter at this time and I want to go to Facebook this time and I want to go to Blue Sky, get on Blue Sky. Blue Sky, I want to go to Instagram, I want, etc. I want this video is going to go to YouTube at this time. You've got to make sure you know that stuff. So you got to post intentionally. The other kind of thing you got to do is you got to figure out when to post what. Like create a specific calendar. Now we at the nonprofit marketplace, and I believe Sabrina has something like that with Supporting World Hope. There's specific times when you're doing stuff. You're going to tell a story on one day. Wait a couple of days. You're going to tell about it. Did you know about what we do and inform and educate people? That's another thing. You're gonna put a post in there just of a picture or your mission or things like that, so people can get that feel. Because there's a lot of different stuff you can put on social media. There's a lot of different stuff where people will get flooded with too much. I mean, it's Christmas and Merry Christmas, and here's a picture of Santa, and here's my elf on the shelf, and all these different things that people are doing with their kids. You got to be intentional about it. You got to be specific about it. You got to target different people. Side note, when you ask me where, if I'm sure somebody out there would ask, where do we going to get the times? There's a lot of social media calendars out there that have content creation and tell you when's the best time to post something, whether you're in Seattle or New York or Miami or Georgia or whatever. You can do the search up there just for public social media calendars. The second thing is you don't do a bunch of asks. We're going to do, and you'll hear this a little bit later on. You're going to do three, 2.5, three very specific times you ask. The rest is educate. And I'll tell you why I say that. Is first of all, you're not as well known as you think you are. And I don't mean that as a diss, and I don't mean that to be a jerk or anything like that. What I'm saying is you know your organization. You know what you do. You know how you help people with brain tumors, or you help people, disabled people through adaptive sports. You know that. And you feel that everybody in the world should know that. But sometimes you don't. And a great real life example. I worked as a CEO for 20 years for the Boys and Girls Clubs, local clubs. Probably your biggest stakeholders, the people who believe in you most, probably going to be your board members. And we would talk. And I had a board member for one of my clubs. I was CEO of 2 different clubs. I said, what do we do? I'd say, what does Boys and Girls Club do? Good things for kids. Well, yeah, it's kind of in the name. I get that. You do food, right? You feed them, right? Yes, we feed them. What else? Homework? You help them with homework, right? You do right? You do homework, don't you? You do summer camp, right? I mean, that was their answer. And these are the people who are most invested. As a CEO, I was knee deep in the Boys and Girls Club. I knew the acronym. I knew our programs. I knew that homework was Power Hour. I knew that we did Project Learn. I knew that we had art programs, and I knew all that. And we're a national organization, by the way. We've got Shaquille O'Neal and Denzel Washington and Jennifer Lopez and Brad Pitt and all these famous people who were Boys and Girls Club alumni who speak for us. And so we're pretty visible. And our board still didn't know what the Boys and Girls Club does. That to say is you're not as well known as you think you are. You know it deeply, but not everybody does. And you can't, and I mean that in a way of, you can't take that for granted. So it's important that you educate people very much about what you do and very specifically about what you do. The second thing is you're not as unique as you think you are. And I went to Los Angeles, California. I went to Google, Los Angeles, California, and I typed in youth development. I knew I'd get some Boys and Girls Clubs there. I got page after page after page after page of organizations that do youth development. And by the way, those are people who use the word youth development because I put it in quotes. We're not talking about after school. We're not talking about sports programs, music programs, anything to deal with kids. So just because you say, "Hey, I'm here and I'm helping the homeless. I'm doing something for kids." Everybody's doing something for kids. There's a lot of people doing something for kids. So you got to make sure you stand out. And again, that goes back to educating everybody and letting them know. And how do you do the best? What's the best way to educate? Well, we're a very visual society. So the stories that you tell of your organization, you want to do them in the form of memes with the picture. You want to make some reels. So you have a series of things scrolling. And of course, short videos. And of course, when I say short videos, I'm talking about videos no longer than 30 seconds. People usually turn away after 8 seconds, but if it's a good video, they'll stay on and watch it. But they don't go much past 30 seconds. So you got to make sure that you get in there and do a good video, show what you're doing, maybe edit it a little bit, use what's it called? Clip Champ, or something like that. iCloud, iMovie, if you have iMovie, put those together so people can see what you're doing, so you understand. Because if I say, "Hey, I do adaptive sports," some people don't know what adaptive sports is and what adaptive sports means. Where that means you're working with people with physical and mental disabilities who might be in a wheelchair, who might have lost a limb, to play tennis, to learn to water ski, to play volleyball, like the Paralympics. You got to show them that, because you can't assume that everybody gets it and just goes, "Oh, Paralympics, that's great." Some people don't know what that means. So you've got to educate. So whenever you do an end of the year campaign, here's what we're doing, here's what we did, here's how we're changing the community. You have to reach out to all your stakeholders. First and foremost, segment your list. Have similar messaging, but make it a little bit different. Now, I know you could have read that just as easily as I could, but why? Why do you do that? Well, because if you do a 5K, you get 1,000 people to attend and they just pay for the 5K. Yeah. So they're not in it for your mission. They're in it because you did a 5K, and they're runners probably, or they're going to try to get through it. So you probably go a little bit deeper into your messaging to them about, here's what we're doing, here's how we change lives, here's what you're supporting. Whereas the guy that is the guy or the woman, sorry, the person who is the donor that gives $10,000 to your organization probably has done a little bit of research and vetted you a little bit and knows that you do um, homework help with kids. And they might even know that it's called Power Hour, and that you do feeding for kids. And you stay open and your prices are cheap so everybody can attend. They might know that, but you still want to hit them with the critical message and tell that story about, here's what we're doing with people, here's what we're doing with kids, here's what we're doing with pets, here's what we're doing with whomever needs us most to make their life better, to help give them a little bit of a leg up that they might not have had. The way I like to do my end of the year campaign is very intentional. Again, everything, first of all, there's no asks. Not, I mean, there are asks, but they're not intentional. Everything, pretty much everything is, here's what we're doing, here's how we're changing lives. Here's what we're doing, here's how we're changing lives. Here's what we're doing, here's how we're changing lives. Here's a picture of, since I've been using the adaptive sports example, here's a picture of a child in a wheelchair who's getting to play tennis for the first time and getting the opportunity, and showing that caring adult who's tossing the ball to the racket so they can learn, or holding their hand to help them swing. Those kind of things. Those are the images that explain what you do. The next thing I do is I will do early in the campaign, so probably about the first, second week. And so, again, side note, you can talk to Sabrina, or you can talk to myself personally, because I have a full calendar of what you need to do. But you do one email ask early in the campaign. It's in the first 10 days of December. You tell them what you're doing. Say, this is an ask. These are our highlights. These are how we change lives. We'd love for you to consider investing. Investing is an important word, not giving, not donating, investing. They're your partners. They're investing in you. They're investing in you to make a difference for these people. They want to help. They want to be part of the solution. So they are investors. Very important. Good choice of words. And you send that to them. Here's an easy way to donate. And you leave it at that, just the one email. You don't go much past that, just the one email. Then you do probably the way I always do it is I'll do a hard copy letter, and I'll explain to you why. I'll do a hard copy letter, have it typed up, do a mail merge, that kind of thing, and you end up putting it in the mail on Christmas Eve. Very important. It goes on the mail in the mailbox on Christmas Eve. Has to be before the post office closes. And the reason why it goes before Christmas Eve and why this is important is because some people want something tangible to hold. They want to go, oh yeah, I'm going to donate to this organization. I'm going to put it in my before December 31st pile. There's a lot of people who are thinking December 31st, but why wouldn't I send it early on so people have it in front of them? Because early on in December, you get 5 billion Christmas cards and you get 5 billion ads from this sale. And oh my gosh, Black Friday carryover, and you can still get this price at discounted and all this stuff. That's why you don't want your letter, your hard copy letter, to get mixed into the everything else. In fact, I had a donor who's an extraordinarily wealthy man and woman, because they did everything together. And he would always tell me it's important that I send him something end of the year hard copy. And the reason why is because he wants to look at it, have it in his hand, and go, yes, while he's doing his work, his business. So he's looking for those kind of things. And that's really important. The reason why we send it on the 24th is, again, we don't want it to go too early. So I always like the 24th because 90% of your people are local. They'll get everything that you send them within the first day, maybe 2 days. So if you put it in the mailbox to go out, you go to the post office and put it in the mailbox on the 24th. That means no mail on the 25th because it's Christmas, 1 day for the 26th. On the 27th, when our mindset is off Christmas and now looking to the new year, I've got that in my hand. So it's not just thrown into a pile. It's a little more real, I guess maybe might be a good way to say it. It's in front of them. So that's what we want to get for them. So they have their one hard copy ask. And then after the first of the year, probably I try to send it to go out on the 30th, you have one educational, one email ask that says, hey, here's what we're doing. If you're going to donate, we'd love to have you. Here's how we are changing lives. We need your help to do this. Your investment will allow us to, and that's where you give them a visual, will allow us to, your investment of $500 will allow us to keep 7 animals from being put to sleep, because we're going to do a spay or neutering program. It allows us to serve 300 meals to the homeless over the holidays. It allows us to buy X amount of crayons to teach our kids how to draw in our art classes, things like that. So you got to give them something tangible. But again, you're not beating them of give, because everybody's doing that. You're going to stand out because you're doing something different. You're the one who's saying, here's why you should invest, not, oh my, and by the way, side note, I just thought of this to throw this in there. I didn't have it in my presentation, but it's important. Always argue from a point of strength. Don't say, oh my gosh, if you don't help us, 1,800 homeless people won't get to eat. Yeah, they'll still get to eat somehow. And it makes you sound weak. Come as strong. It's because of you and your $1,000 donation that 1,800 more people are going to get to eat and have a healthy meal when we're in a time of food instability. That kind of thing. So you always got to argue your point, but you make your point with your memes, with your reels, with your videos. You make it from a point of strength of, we're helping, not we need you. We're helping, and you can be a part of this help. Does that make sense? As a carryover. Finally, I've got, well, almost finally on this part is what I'll tell you a funny story. My wife is from El Paso. There's a lot of Mexican influence there, a lot of Spanish speaking there. I'm from San Diego, same situation, a lot of Mexican influence, right by the border, a lot of Spanish speaking. And my wife and I both took French, or I don't know why, but we did. Kind of dumb. Anyway, but there's a thing in French called the je ne sais quoi, and it means I don't know what. That's what it literally means. But what it means is that special something. What else do you need to do? What else will help you be successful? So first of all, personalize everything. Everything. Put your logo on everything. Do a mail merge. Like I would create a spreadsheet. I'm sure you can get it with all these different programs that people use about with donations and stuff like that. But have your first name, their last name, their address, their spouse's name. I'll tell you about spouses in just a second. Mention them in the letter. So if when you send that hard copy letter and you're sending it to, the Joneses, and you have a line in there because you can just do it very easily with the mail merge. And I know that with the Joneses help, we'll be able to serve 500 more people or something like that. With the Joneses investing in our mission of making sure animals don't get put to sleep, we will be able to make sure that 50 more dogs and cats get adopted out. Whatever your numbers are. But hit them with some numbers, hit them with some personalization. I'll tell you why it's important on to get the spouse and to include the spouse, Mr. and Mrs. Mr. and Mrs. Brian and Karen Partee. Don't do Mr. and Mrs. Brian Partee. Mr. and Mrs. Brian and Karen Partee. The woman is a person too. A lot of times people forget that when they send stuff out, and that's not good because a great example is this actually happened to a friend of mine at their Boys and Girls Club. They became the poster child to help us promote this, but people were focusing so hard on Mr. Bill Jones, Mr. Bill Jones, Mr. Bill Jones, Mr. Bill Jones, and eventually Mr. Bill Jones passed away. So when we sent something to, or when they sent something to Mrs. Jones, they ended up not being able to help Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones said, "No, that's my husband's charity." Nothing was ever addressed to Mrs. Jones. Nothing was addressed to Mrs. Sabrina Jones. It was always to Mr. Bill Jones. So Mr. Bill Jones was clearly the important one, right? Wrong. And so Mrs. Jones had access to all this wealth that she didn't want to give to, nor did she give to that Boys and Girls Club because she wasn't part of it. It was her husband's thing. And she wasn't like anti Boys and Girls Club, but she wasn't. It wasn't her show. It wasn't her thing. So that part it was important. So always make sure you give to both people. If there's a couple, make sure you get that information. That's important to do it. Or don't make it to just Bill Jones. Make it to the Joneses, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, period. Something like that. Very important to keep yourself in front of them. Make giving easy. Don't get rattled down with you can do legacy giving and you can do sponsorships and you can do one time and you can do figure out what you want them to give. Ask them what you wanted to give. That's really important too. Knowing a specific amount. I had the opportunity to work with a legitimate billionaire with a B. And one of the things that he would always tell me is, Brian, you always got to ask for what you want. He's a billionaire, right? He had more money than he knew what to do with. He and his wife, they did everything together. And one of the things that they always would point out was when people would come to them and they knew they were going to get asked because they had so much money to help these different charities and stuff. One of the things that they would always ask, oh, whatever you can afford. For them, when you said, oh, well, whatever you have is great, we love your help, that's $250. Because if he's going to invest in you, he wants to know where the money's going and what's your plan. If you were going to ask for $50,000, they have $50,000. Go and ask for $50,000 and say, hey, we're going to build a soccer field and we're going to do this and we're going to add some lights. We're going to have the goals and we're going to all those things. Don't go to a donor and go, oh, what did you give? Have an idea of what you want. Your help will get your donation, your investment is going to give us a $500 will give us this many meals. And this many people will get to eat. This many kids will have a safe place to go after school. This many people will get therapy for suicide prevention. Those kind of things. You've got to be specific and you've got to explain to them where the money's going. Because again, as I said in the beginning, the word that we're using is invest. I want you to invest, not donate. I want you to invest in my company, in my organization, in my nonprofit. Well, if you're going to invest, tell them where their money's going, why they're investing. The third thing is have stories. Stories are really important. People gravitate to stories. They want to hear success stories. They want to hear, that's why we go to the movies. We want to hear the story. We want to follow the story. I don't know if you guys were as ingrained in Kaiser Soze as I was, but oh my gosh, when everything was happening in The Usual Suspects, I was way in on Kaiser Soze and going, oh my goodness, it's crazy. But having stories, have a couple of here's a story of a child that got this opportunity. Here's a story of a dog that got adopted out. Here's a story of a veteran that we helped through therapy because of PTSD, whatever. But have stories. You've got to have them in your back pocket. Have 2 elite stories in your back pocket and have about 10 stories total that you can reference if you're talking to an arts crew or a veteran crew or a military, or a business crew or a social media organization or a Rotary Club or a church, or you know what I mean? Got to have those stories ready to go so you can quickly and succinctly I said about 5 times, and the word was succinct. So you can quickly and succinctly explain what you're doing and where the money's going and how you're changing it. So have those stories and work on that. Look in a mirror and practice. Pretend like you're talking to, an elevator speech thing. Bill Gates. I've got 60 seconds with Bill Gates. Let me tell you what we're doing and explain that. That's basically it. Now, again, here comes the commercial. That's me on the left, as you can tell. That's Sabrina on the right, as you can't tell today because she's not here, but Sabrina is very active in a lot of things. She and I are doing well, stop it. She and I are starting a nonprofit cohort. If you go to nonprofitmasterminds.com, you can go there. Now you're going to be able to get 50 or so years of experience, of nonprofit experience from Sabrina and I. Now, the great thing about Sabrina and I is we come from two different worlds. As you can tell, she is dressed looking like she's going out to a gala, and I'm a Hawaiian shirt guy. I look like I'm going to be a hobo. But we both talk in different ways, we explain in different ways. But the great thing about it is when we're together, we complement each other, and we're going to help you over the period of 1 year. We're going to have a regular meeting, and let me go to our next slide to show you everything you get. First of all, we'll do quarterly grant walkthroughs, and I'll show you how to write a grant. Like if you guys have any of you guys have tried to do the Spark grant, not as easy as you think. So I'll take you through some walkthroughs on Spark grant, on writing other grants, on writing federal grants. I mean, these are real lessons right there. Each month, you're going to have a master class on marketing, setting up your 501c3, working with your board, writing grants, doing events, fundraising, the boring HR stuff, all that kind of stuff. We're going to have a full list for over a period of a year of things that'll help your nonprofit elevate to a high level. And now the cool thing that we're also going to do, because we want to meet you where you are, Sabrina and I will teach the same exact thing each month, but Sabrina's will be like we're getting the dates down and the times down for sure. But Sabrina will be like on Mondays at noon. And I could do the third Thursday at 6. So it's going to be flexible for you. You can attend both if you want. You can attend just mine. You can attend just Sabrina's. So we're giving you guys availability because we want you to get this information. Because over 50 years, Sabrina and I have done a lot of stuff. We've grown, both have grown very rapidly. She grew into a $2.5 million organization. She did a capital campaign. I started as a $200,000 organization, one site, grew to 26 sites with a $2.5 million budget. So we've grown. We've also though made some mistakes that were dumb mistakes, little mistakes, easy mistakes that maybe if we tell you about them, you won't have to experience them. Each month we'll have a live roundtable and technical assistance, which is kind of like office hours. So I'll just log on. If you just want to talk personally, we can do that for you. You can schedule one-on-ones with Sabrina and I. You'll have all the downloadable templates and checklists and guides and scripts and all that kind of stuff because we've written most of them. Again, when you're from small rural Texas or South Texas, where Sabrina's from, there's not a lot of business. There's not a lot of help there sometimes. So you can do a lot of this yourself. So we've done it. We've written it for you. There are 2 boot camps per year. Those are going to be like 4-hour intense sessions. But the cool thing about those is Sabrina and I know a bunch of people. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some of our friends maybe to teach them because it'll be a different voice, it'll be a different perspective, and it'll help you out, whether it's grant writing, whether it's staff training, whether it's HR. We'll talk to everybody and get this set up. But we've worked with a lot of people through our days in Boys and Girls Club. Again, 50 years of Boys and Girls Clubbing, of nonprofiting, of serving on boards ourselves, of running Rotary clubs and booster clubs and all these different things to help you out. We've been there, and so we know the people who can help you. You'll of course get access to all the recordings, past and future. A lot of people ask for that. We have our own private Facebook group called the S&B Masterminds on Facebook. You're more than welcome to check it out right now. It's private, and we'll have a lot of stuff there. If you ever need Sabrina and I are both certified trainers. I'm a certified coach. She's a certified coach. If you ever need personal stuff for you for any of these trainings, coachings, anything like that, come on site to facilitate a strategic plan, things like that. We'll be there for you. So you can always hit us up, and we'll give you a discount on that. Our goal is to come up with an in-person retreat to bring you down to whether it's going to be somewhere like Corpus Christi or Dallas or something with great speakers. And you've all been to retreats and conferences and stuff like that. That's our goal. You, as being part of the S&B masterminds, would get to be part of that, and you get that for a discount. And one free VIP summit entry. Sabrina, as a lot of you guys know, started several years ago, 5, 6 years ago, started the Build nonprofit summit, and it's really good. It's helped people out a lot over the years. We want you to come in and be part of the Build, and you can get in one VIP free, which gives you access to so much more prizes and gifts and swag bags and all those kind of things. So that's where we want to get you. We want you to join. We've already had a few people join. I believe we want to not max ourselves out. So you want to do it sooner than later, but this is personal investment. And if you look at it, everything gets cheaper. So if you go monthly, it's $250 a month, and you to get all of that. If you do it quarterly, it's $600 a quarter, which if you again do the math, that comes out to $200 a month. And if you do one payment at the beginning of the year of $2,040, that comes out to be like 175-ish a month. So it's not crazy, and it is investment in yourself. It's staff. I mean, it's personal investment. This is stuff that you can take with you if you were to move on in the universe of wherever you are and wanted you go from a resource development director to an executive director, or you want to go to an executive director from a small organization to a large organization. That's what this will help you through. And when you see everything you get now, for those who've seen Sabrina and I talk before on this, at the Build Summit, in different conferences and online things, one of the things that you'll hear us say is you'll get your money back. I'm a certified grant writer. I'm thinking just in grants that you could write, you'll get your money back. But I mean, we want everybody to know this is a good investment. This is good ROI, good return on your investment for yourself, for your organization, and of course for everything that you get, you'll be able to carry with you for years and years and years. I told you that in-depth calendar, end of year, next year, we're going to work on that. And you're going to get, probably July or August. So it's way early, but we're going to get a end of the year calendar and what to post, when to post it, how to post it. We're going to step you through all of those things to help you bring in more money, be more successful with your board, be more successful with your staff, do everything the right way, and increase donations. Because my of the nonprofit marketplace, my slogan, my motto is we help you help others. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to help you help others. So with all that to say, I think that's my last slide. Let me check. It is. Let me stop the share. That was it. I want to let everybody know we appreciate you for being here. I know we had a lot of people register. I know that I had a bunch of people say I won't be able to watch it in the middle of the day. So could you record it? Here you go. I hope you join us. And if you remember, go to http:// no www, no www, just nonprofitmasterclass.com, and that'll bring you to the page to get you signed up. All that to say, I hope you guys have a good day. If you are doing Giving Tuesday tomorrow, good luck. I mean, I don't want you to do badly. I'm just not a fan of it because it's a lot of work for not a lot of return. But get on your end of the year campaign. Call us up. We'll help you out. We'll help you get that going. So all that say, may the force be with you.